Hey guys, welcome to the series of VMware vSphere. In this session, we are going to discuss about one important topic called host profile. So the agenda of this session is starting with the brief discussion on host profile. We will discuss what is host profile, what are its use cases, how important role it plays in the production environment. Then we will learn how to create and apply the host profile. We will be performing the hands-on lab. Moving on, we will be covering one more important topic, which is how to reset the ESXi root password using your host profile. And then we will understand the exporting and importing of host profile. What are its use cases in your real production environment? So, guys, before we proceed with our topic where we will be creating and applying the host profile, we will understand why the host profile is required. Let's understand what is host profile. Now, everyone knows that what is host. ESXi is nothing but known as host. The hypervisor ESXi, when you install on any of your hardware, any of your server which is from Dell, HP, IBM, that particular server on which you install a ESXi hypervisor is called as ESXi host. And the profile is nothing but the configuration and setting of your ESXi host. When you do any kind of configuration or a setting in your ESXi host, that particular profile for the configuration or setting is called as host profile. So let's understand the host profile in the real environment, in your production environment, how you will deal with it. Guys, you have heard about the hardening of the servers. So if you do hardening means you are doing some sort of configuration and setting on your servers. There are hardening policies for every organization and it may differ from organization to organization. Hardening is basically a securing of your server as per the standards and policies set out for your organization. So in your VMware environment, you are having ESXi servers, right? Over here, you can see in your hands-on lab, you have ESXi 1A, ESXi 2A. You can have 100 of ESXi depending upon your infrastructure need. Now, assume that if you want to do a configuration for the time setting using a centralized time server, it can be a NTP server from where your ESXi host will be getting the reliable time. Okay, if you want to configure a NTP server on the ESXi host so that your ESXi host get a reliable timing, so you can do this configuration straight away going to the ESXi host, right? So if your ESXi host time is same, then all your virtual machine time will be same. All the virtual machines will be taking the time from ESXi because the VMware tool are installed. And when we were doing the labs in the initial session, we have seen it ask when you're creating a virtual machine for the time and all, you have option that you can say take the time from the ESXi host, right? Even in data center, there is a prerequisite that all the ESXi servers must have the same and correct timing, and this time must be taken from the centralized and the reliable source because timing plays an important role in log analysis. Now, consider a real-time scenario where you want to do some setting in your ESXi for the time management. Assume that some are other settings also there which you want to do. It can be like assume you need to enable or disable SSH on your ESXi host. Then some setting for the networking also you want to do on the ESXi host. So guys, assume that you are doing three settings. Like one is you are configuring the NTP server. The second setting is you are enabling or let's say disabling the SSH on the ESXi host. The third setting, you are planning to do a network configuration. So guys, in your environment, if you have one or two or three ESXi hosts, manual job is very easy. You can do it, right? But assume that you have a multiple host. It can be up to 100 of hosts running in your environment. So in that case, do you think that doing this job manually will not cause any kind of human error. Just consider that these settings, if you're doing on 100 of ESXi host, do you think there won't be any human error? It is very highly possible that human error will occur for sure. Let's go ahead and assume that you did these three settings on 100 of ESXi host. You did it, and you was a superhuman. You didn't made any mistake, and you have done these three changes one by one on 100 ESXi host. Okay. Now you did these changes. Assume that tomorrow again you have to do some more changes. So this is a never ending process. Again and again you have to do. This is the one problem. The second problem may be like you are doing a changes. Tomorrow someone did some bad thing due to some bad intention, or assume that mistakenly someone has changed the settings on one or two or let's say three of your ESXi host. How you will identify these changes? Or let's say someone is daily continuously doing a bad activity, trying to change the configuration setting, profile settings, not profile setting, configuration setting on the ESXi host. So will you review these logs also on daily basis? Answer is no, because you have lots of job to do. So just monitoring this useless thing is not recommended also. So guys, the very first challenge is you have to do a changes on 100 of ESXi host. So doing a manual job, there is a high possibility you will make mistake. The second issue is if someone do the configuration changes on two or three of your ESXi host. So how you will rectify this? Everything can be achieved using the host profile. So I can say that the host profile addresses the major issues, like it is useful to apply same configuration setting on all host. So guys, there is a configuration changes done on one host, you can, using a host profile, apply those changes on 100 of ESXi host. Not only 100, I can say 1000 of ESXi hosts also are there. You can apply this setting very quickly in a very useful manner, and it will be a time consuming also. And not only that, if a changes is done on one or two of your ESXi host, this also can be easily identified using the host profile. So let's have a brief discussion how to create the host profile, how to apply the host profile. Then we will come to our hands-on lab and we will start with our practical, where we are going to learn how to create and apply the host profile. So guys, as we have discussed that 100 of host configuration can be changed very easily using a host profile. So I can say that with vSphere host profile, the ESXi server configuration can be standardized. You can perform a mass changes. So in short, I can say that you can do a configuration or a setting on your ESXi host, and the same setting you can apply to all the ESXi hosts using the host profile. So what is going to happen when we are dealing with the host profile? See, if you think that you want to do any kind of changes, you will be doing a change on only one of the hosts, and that setting can be applied to all the hosts. If it is 100 or 1000 of hosts also, you can apply the changes using a host profile. But to configure a host profile, you need to follow few steps. So what are those steps? Guys, these are the 5 steps which you have to follow for creating and applying the host profile, and this is our practical which we are going to do it now. So the step number 1 is you have to configure all your setting on one server. Okay, what it is written, configure a master host or a reference host. So what you have to do, you have to configure all your setting on one server. Okay, one of the server you will be doing a configuration or a setting, and you will term this as master server or a reference host. Okay, master host or a reference host, not master server, master host. You will do a configuration setting on one of the hosts. You will say it is a master host or reference host. Then this setting can be applied to all the other hosts in your environment using a host profile. So let's begin with the practical. Come to VMware hands-on lab. And guys, I have some set of procedures to show you the practicals, right? So we will be following here also. Let's open one more tab, duplicate the tab, and one more time duplicate the tab. So what you are going to do, the first tab you will be having host and cluster tab. The second tab you will click on vSphere client, and you will open what is called as host profile. Okay, click on host profile. In the third tab will be the task console tab. So click on vSphere client and task console. Basically, we will be coming over here to see the progress of the configuration. Okay, so in the first tab over here where you have opened the host and clusters. Okay, now for demo purpose, let's do a small configuration setting on ESXi 1A host. Assume that you have a NTP server already in place, but due to some requirement, you have changed the IP address of the NTP server. And this our lab is like, you assume that not you have host, you have 100 of host over here. And the NTP server IP address is changed. What you have to do is you have to change the NTP server IP address on all 100 of hosts. Over here we have two only. Assume you have 100 hosts. So what we will do is we will be following the step number one. Step number one will be, as per our assumption that we are going to change the NTP server in our practical as a demo, we will be going to ESXi 1A host, okay, and then go to configure button, and over here just scroll down under system. I have scrolled down more. Okay, under system, go to time configuration. In time configuration, you will find network time protocol, right? Just select this, edit it. Now assume that at present your NTP server IP was 192.168.100.1, but now in your environment the IP address of the NTP server is changed to 100.10. So now your task is you have to apply this NTP server IP address on all 100 of ESXi hosts. We can do it manually, but high chances that human intervention, doing manually, human error may occur. That is the reason we are doing a host profile lab where you can apply all this setting at one shot to all the 100 ESXi hosts. So now we have changed the IP address on one of the hosts from 100.1 to the 100.10, the new IP. Click OK. Now, once you click OK, what you have done? You have done the changes on one of your ESXi host, which is ESXi 1A host, right? So guys, you can see that the NTP server IP we have changed from 192.168.100.1 to 100.10, but this is not the case with ESXi 2A. On ESXi 2A, you have the original IP address 192.168.100.1, and our lab is that we have to change that this IP address 100.10, not manually. We are assuming that we don't have two servers but 100 of ESXi hosts, and this setting, which is the new IP address, which is 192.168.100.10, need to be applied to all the ESXi host NTP server IP. Okay, so for this we are going to create a host profile. The first step of the host profile is completed, which is that change the configuration, change the setting on one of the ESXi host, and in our case it is ESXi 1A, and the changes where you have done the setting in the settings or in the configuration becomes a master host or a reference host. So in our lab, ESXi 1A becomes the master host or a reference host. Okay, now we will proceed to step number 2. Step number 2 is create a host profile based on that host. Which host? The host on which you did the changes, that is master host or a reference host, right? So here in our case, ESXi 1A will be our master or a reference host. Now come to second tab, and over here inside host profile you will find the option extract host profile, right? Click over here on extract host profile. It will ask you from which server you want to extract profile, right? So you will say that it will be ESXi 1. Remember, you have done the changes on ESXi 1A. So select over here ESXi 1A and click next button. Give the name of the host profile as NTP setting. Why? Because we are doing a NTP setting. And remember, you can give any name. Description is optional, and click on finish button. So just wait for some time over here till the host profile is created. You can see the task console, and it is the configuration is under progress. It will take some time for the host profile to be created. So whenever you are extracting a host profile, always enable one important feature in your body called as patience, because it takes few seconds to create, or I can say to extract the host profile. Okay, now you can see the host profile is created with the name which you have given NTP setting, right? So guys, as per step 2, you need to edit or update the profile based on what setting you need to apply, right? Remember that this host profile created over here is nothing but a setting or a configuration file what you did on ESXi 1A host. So it contains all the configuration of the ESXi host. But our interest is we only need to change the NTP setting on all the ESXi host. We have changed that setting on ESXi 1A, considering it as a reference, a host or a master host. So now what we will do, we will be editing or updating the profile based on the setting what we need actually. So what you will do, click on NTP setting over here. Okay, then click on action button over here, and once you click on action button, click on edit host profile. What we are going to do, we are only going to change the NTP settings. Uncheck all the boxes except general system setting, because under general system setting you will find the date and time configuration. There are lots of things checked. Uncheck this as well. Only select date and time configuration. See, we have extracted the profile from ESXi 1A, right? So just expand this, and if you check over here, now it is saying that since it has extracted the profile from ESXi 1A, it is giving the NTP server IPS 192.168.100.10, which is the changes we have done on ESXi 1A. Click on save button over here. Now, just it is refreshing. If you go to the task console, the update is under progress. Let's wait for some time till the update is completed. And meanwhile, once this is completed, we can say that the step number 2 will be completed. Step number 2 is completed. We have updated, or you can say edited, the profile as per our requirement. Our requirement was we need to change the NTP server from the reference host, which is the ESXi 1A. We have done the changes of ESXi 1A. We have extracted the profile from ESXi 1A, and then we have edited, or you can say updated, the profile. Now it's a time to move to step number 3. What step number 3 says? It says that we need to attach the profile to a host or cluster. Okay, come to a VMware hands-on lab. Now we will attach it. Okay, so click on action button. Then you will find an option attach, detach, host and clusters. Click on this. Over here it says that what you want to attach, right? So you can say now you're going to do a changes on ESXi 2A. If it is 100 of host, you can select all those 100 of host over here. So we can say that I will select the cluster, because in cluster all the ESXi hosts are there what we want to do the changes, right? And simply click on save button. Once this is done, click on monitor button over here, the second tab, and you will see that this host profile is attached to both the ESXi host now, ESXi 1A and ESXi 2A. On both the host, you have attached the host profile, right? So attaching the host profile is being completed, which means that step number 3 is completed. Now it is a time to move to step number 4. Step number 4 says check the host or cluster compliance to that profile. What is this? See, remember at present we created a host profile using ESXi 1A host, and we have changed the NTP setting also on ESXi 1A host from 192.168.100.1 to 192.168.100.10. This is what we have done. But still, the setting on ESXi 2A is same. What it is, the original one, 192.168.100.1, right? We have attached the host profile. What we did, we have attached the host profile where we attach on both the ESXi host, but we didn't applied this host profile to any of the ESXi host, right? We have just attaches. Attaching is something like you have attached the profile, but this profile what you have attached is not applied. And if I go ahead, what I have to do is, as per step number 4, I have to check for the compliance, right? So I will just select both the host over here, and I will click on check compliance. So what do you think? Both the host will get compliant? No. ESXi 1A will be compliant, but ESXi 2A will not be compliant. We will just practically just see. ESXi 1A is compliant, but ESXi 2A is not compliant. Why? Remember, see, ESXi 1A, we have changed the NTP setting and then extracted the host profile from ESXi 1A. So the host profile, uh, the ESXi 1A NTP setting and the NTP setting which is there in the host profile, because we have extracted the host profile from 1A, both are same. That is the reason it is saying compliant. But if you check on ESXi 2A, which is not compliant, right? What it says that why it is not compliant, it is giving you the detail over here. See, the reason it is saying date and time configuration mismatch, and over here it is saying the host value, which means that ESXi 2A host has the NTP setting 192.168.100.1, but the host profile value is 192.168.100.10. Why? Because host profile is extracted from 1A. And description also it says that list of NTP server doesn't match the specified list. This is true because these things we have practically justified also, right? So one thing is clear that we have completed the step number 4, which is to check the compliance, and it is clear that ESXi1A is compliant because the profile, we are checking the compliance for the profile, right? And the profile itself is extracted from ESXi1A, so it is very common sense that ESXi1A profile will be compliant. ESXi1A will be compliant to the profile, but ESXi2A IP address is, the NTP server IP address is 192.168.100.1, the original IP address, and the profile for which we are checking the compliant to ESXi2A has the IP address 192.168.100.10. That is the reason it is saying not compliant. So now step number 4 is completed, where we have checked the compliance. Now we will move to step number 5. Step number 5 says apply the profile to the host or all the host of cluster, right? Which is a remediation. So come to VMware hands-on lab. Over here, please select both the host over here and just check for pre-check remediation. Click on pre-check remediation. Don't click on remediate. See, the step number 5 says remediate, but before that, just check for pre-check remediation. I will tell you why you are checking this. Click on pre-check remediation, because pre-check remediation will give you a detail that what is going to happen after remediation. So the best practice is don't go for the remediation directly. First run the pre-check remediation. After this is done, it will give you the result. Click on view result. Once you click on view result, it will give you the pre-check remediation result, right? It will give you detail what changes are going to happen. Now see, on ESXi 1A there is nothing, but if you carefully see ESXi 2A, there is something, expand this, okay? And it is saying that the system will perform the following task. What task? Configure time server to be 192.168.100.10. It is saying that on ESXi 2A the changes are going to happen, and that will be that the NTP server IP address is going to change. ESXi 1 is already compliant, so won't be any change. On ESXi 2A, the changes are going to occur, right? So now, what you do is just uncheck this box, okay? Select both this host and click on remediate button and wait for some time for the remediation to happen. Now see, it's running pre-check. It will remediate. Once that is remediated, then we will move further. We have to wait for some time. When you come to task console, the task is completed, what you have to do is now just select ESXi 2A and click on check compliance. It should show compliance now. Now, guys, ESXi 2A, you can see it is compliant, right? What you have to do, just go to the first tab in host and clusters, click on ESXi 2A, and you will see that the ESXi 2A NTP server IP is changed using a host profile from 192.168.100.1 to 192.168.100.10, which is the same as ESXi 1A host IP. So, guys, this is how you will be creating the host profile and applying the host profile to do a mass changes. The next important topic is how to reset your ESXi root password using the host profile. Nowadays, in the production environment, people are facing challenges that there were multiple ESXi hosts managed by vCenter server appliance, and assume that one of the engineer has installed the ESXi host and now he left the organization. So we don't have the password for ESXi host. Then how to reset the ESXi host password? So, guys, even this, I mean, you can reset the host password, the ESXi host password using the host profile. So just imagine the host profile has made life so easy for the VMware administrator. First, we have seen that you can do the configuration settings for 100 of ESXi hosts. The mass changes can be done using a host profile. And one demo we have seen for the NTP server setting. Okay, now let's begin with the configuration, how you will reset the password for the ESXi host. Come to the second tab where we have our host profile. Okay, and now come to the summary tab over here. Click on action button. Click on edit host profile. Now over here, just expand this security tab. Okay, expand this security tab. Again, expand this security setting. Okay, then over here in security, just scroll a little bit up over here. Expand this user configuration. Okay, what we did, let me repeat again. In security and services, we expanded security setting tab, then we expanded security, then under security there was user configuration, there is a root option. Just select this. Okay, select the root. It will automatically select the user configuration also. Why we have selected root? Remember, when you apply the sorry, why we selected the root? Because we are going to reset the root password for the ESXi host. That's the reason over here we are going with the user configuration for the root. Remember, when you apply host profile, by default setting is leave password unchanged. Scroll a little bit down. This is the option, leave password unchanged for default account. Okay, by default in the host profile, this is the option. So just click over here. When you click, the drag down menu will open for you, and change it to fix password configuration. Okay, from here, earlier by default in host profile it is leave password unchanged for default account. We will change it to fixed password configuration. We have selected fixed password configuration over here, and over here we are going to give the password of your wish. Assume that you don't have the password, or you have forgot the password, or you didn't got the password in the handover. So you have a vCenter server access where all these hosts are managed. Now you are resetting the password. So what you did, simply you were having already a host profile created earlier. In the same host profile, you went to the security settings and selected the root user. By default, the option was leave password unchanged for default account. You selected fixed password configuration, and you all know that the default password is VMware one exclamation, where VM is capital. We will change the password. We will put some other password over here. Just confirm the password. Okay, and click on save button. It is going to take some time. See, the progress is going. If you want to see the progress, you can go to the third tab in task console. You can see the progress, and we'll wait for some time. You can even see from here. See, now it is done. Once this is done, what we have done over here, see, we haven't changed the password of any host. What we did, we have just changed the password of the host profile. We have changed the password in the host profile. And one more thing, over here, you don't have to extract the profile or attach a profile as we have already done, right? We already have extracted a profile from ESXi1 and it is already attached over here. So the next step, what we are going to do is, see, step number one earlier was we have to uh, consider one as a master host or a reference root. But over here, the case is different. We are not aware of the root passwords. We are resetting the root password using a host profile. We were having a host profile already available. So the step number one will be excluded. Step number two will be excluded. Step number three will be excluded. What was step number one? Editing the configuration and making the master or a reference host. Step number two, where we have to extract the profile because already we have one profile over here. Step number three was to attach the profile to the host or a cluster. Even that is also available over here. Only what we have to do is we have edited the profile and we have done the changes as per our requirement, where we have changed the some setting going to the root password directory page in host profile. We have changed the password of the root in host profile, not in the host. Finally, what we have to do is go to monitor over here and just check this both boxes and then check for compliance, and both the host will not be compliance. Why it won't be compliance? Because the password in the host profile is different than the password in the host. The actual host password is different and the host profile password is different. Let's check the reason also why it is not compliant. If you will just go over here, it is giving security setting password in profile does not match that on host for root. Yes, it is very common. Why? Because we assume that we don't know the password, and that is the reason we have reset the password in the profile. Now we are checking this host compliance to the profile, and of course both the hosts will not be compliant because the both the host has the password which we don't know, assuming that we don't know, okay, and the password in the host profile is something very different. So what will be the next step? You will be selecting both of them over here, and then after that you will go for pre-check remediation. We will wait for some time for the results to appear for the pre-check remediation, and we will click on view results over here. Now see, earlier it was only for ESXi 2A when we were doing NTP setting, because we have the same setting on ESXi 1A which was on host profile. Here host profile root password is different and the root password for both the ESXi host is different. If you expand this, it is saying that the system will perform the following task: modifying local user account root, right? Select both this over here, uncheck this box, automatically reboot host that require remediation. Click on remediate button and wait for some time for the remediation to happen. Now guys, you can see that both the devices are compliant, which means that your password is successfully changed for the host. Now we will verify this. How you will verify? You will go to one of the hosts. Now this is the SSI 3A. We will be having a smart approach. We want to access 2A. Remember, you have done the changes. Let me show you on 1A and 2A. So why I have taken 3A? Just to copy the URL. Okay, just change this to 2A. Hit enter. Now you have a login page for ESXi 2A host. Put the password as root. Now just to verify that whatever is done is properly, you may assume that maybe that I have put the same password. So what I will do, this is a safe password, right? Root one is a safe one. Click on login. See, I have used the root password which was saved. It is saying cannot complete login due to an incorrect username or password. I have justified this practically. Even when you will do, don't when you will be changing the host profile password, don't use the same password. Okay, try different password. I will put the password which I have changed now on the host profile, and now I will try to log in. And you can see that I am able to log into ESXi to a host using the new password. The new password which I have set on host profile, then I have remediated and I am able to access using the new password. So guys, in this way, in production environment, all those hosts which are managed by vCenter, if in case you don't have a password for the root, or some engineer who has configured has left the organization without a proper handover, this is the approach how you will be resetting the password using the host profile. So now we will be coming to our last topic of this session, that is exporting and importing host profile. So guys, now consider you are in a production environment and you have a host profile and it has around 100 hosts. You come to office in the morning and check for the compliance. What happened that all the hosts are being red, seen in the red. Okay, when you check for the compliance and sees that all hosts are red, you realize till last night everything was going good and today morning everything is red. Remember, when all hosts become red, that is, when all hosts become non compliant, there are high chances that someone might have changed the host profile itself. This scenario is why I'm explaining, because in real time environment you face many times this kind of scenarios and how to tackle the issues smartly. This is the reason I am showing you this thing. So now what you have to do in this scenario, assume that someone has changed the host profile itself. The host, everything is same, but the host profile was changed. Okay. And that is the reason all the hosts are now seen to be non-compliant. In this case, we have to do something exactly the replication. I can say exactly the reverse what we did till now. Till now what we were doing, we were extracting the profile from the host and we were attaching the host or the cluster, and then we were checking with the compliance and the remediation. So the host profile, whatever configuration was there on the host profile, used to get to the all of the host. Now something reverse we are going to do. Let's begin with the practical. In the second tab, come to the place where you have your host profile, click on action button and then click on edit button over here, edit host profile. Okay, and expand the general settings over here, which we did for date and time configuration. Okay, expand this as well, click on date and time. So guys, over here, assume that, see, earlier we changed it to 100.10 from 1 to 10, from 100.168 to 100.168 and we have seen that how you will do the configuration. Now assume that someone has played and someone has changed the host profile itself. Assume now someone did the changes and make the NTP setting in host profile as 192.168.100.20. The original is 10, but someone played and they did 20. Okay, and they have saved the configuration. So now all the hosts are having NTP server as 100.10. See, if you come here, you will see 100.10. On ESXi 2 way, you go, you will see that the NTP server is 100.10. But someone played with the settings and someone has changed the NTP server in the host profile to 100.20. Okay. So if you go and if you check for the compliance over here, check for the compliance, it will say that the all the hosts in this host profile will be non-compliant. See, it is saying non-compliant. So now in the morning when you come and check for the compliance, all the host will say show non-compliance because someone did changes in the profile. Not only this, assume someone did lot of changes in host profile. So you will get lots of error in compliance check. Now see, if we just check for here, it is saying that there is a change in the NTP server doesn't match the specified list and the host value is 192.168.100.10, but the host profile is changed to 192.168.100.20. This is the reason it is not compliant. So guys, in this case, to address this kind of issues, what you will do is you will go to the action button over here in host profile. You will go to action button. Okay, and then going to action button, you will click on copy setting from host. Click on copy setting from host. Okay, this option. Remember, someone has changed the profile, but still all your host has the same setting. No one has changed the host setting, right? In host, everything is same. Someone has changed the profile, host profile. So we will copy the setting from the host itself. Click on copy setting from the host. It is asking from which host you want to copy the setting to this host profile. You can select anyone. Let's say we will say from ESXi1A I want to copy. Click on OK button. Once you do this, check both the boxes and click on check compliance over here and wait for some time. It is checking for the compliance. You can see that all your hosts will be compliant now. What you did, someone changed the host profile, but the host setting was same. You copied the setting from the host to the host profile, and then you just check for the compliance. It is compliant now. Another important thing, you can even take the backup of your profile. This is the profile, right? You can take the backup of your profile, and whenever such incident happen, instead of copying from the setting, simply you can restore your profile from the backup itself. So what you will do, click on action button, click on export host profile. When you click this, okay, click on save button. It gives you a notification to save, right? You click on save button. Now your profile will be downloaded locally in your machine. See, it is downloaded locally in the machine. Click on save button. It is giving you notification. Click on save button. So you downloaded in the local machine. Okay. Once you go to the download folder, you will go to the download folder over here. Open the download folder. You will see a host profile downloaded with the extension .vpf. Right. Consider you have configured a host profile at one location. Okay, you have configured the host profile on this location, for example, and now your requirement is at another newly opened data center you want to have the same host profile. Okay, for your ESXi host, simply what you can do is you can share a downloadable file. You have downloaded this file, you have exported the host profile. You will share this downloadable file with another location team via email and import this host profile in his vCenter at the new location. So let's see how you can do this. Over here, you are into the host profile. You will see an option. Click on action over here. You will see an option. Guys, not over here. Just click on vSphere client and again come to the host profile. Okay. Over here, when you are into the host profile, you have option import host profile, right? Just select on import host profile. So you are importing the host profile. Assume that this file is sent from some other location. You are in the new location. Over here, you are importing the host profile. Click on browse button. Go to downloads. This is the file. Okay. Select this file. Name of this. Give the name as new host profile. And click on OK button. It's importing. It will take some time. Now over here, you can see two host profile, and you can see that first profile shows that what is the first profile. This new host profile shows that it has no host, but the second profile says that it has two hosts, right? The NTP setting was the profile which we created and we have attached to host during the initial time when we started to do the practical for creating and applying the host profile. Now you have created this new profile and over here you can see that there is no host, right? So what we are going to do now over here is you will just click on this. It will open the host new host profile for you. Click on action button over here. Okay, once you click on action button over here, just click on this option attach detach. Okay, host and cluster. What you do, select this cluster. Although this is over this two cluster, or I can say these two hosts are already attached on that particular the old host profile. You are trying to attach this over here. It is giving you warning. Earlier it didn't give you warning, right? It is giving you warning. What warning it is giving? Attached to a profile NTP setting, right? Override this warning. Click on save button. Now what you did, you have attached both this profile to both the host, right? Over here, the compliance status is unknown. Sorry, over here the compliance status is unknown. Just click this, check both this, and click on check compliance. It is running the compliance check. You can see even for this new host profile, now both the hosts are compliant. Most important thing to note over here, when you go to the just again go to vSphere client and come to this host profiles over here, you won't see any host in the old host profile, which is NTP setting. Right now, both the hosts have attached over here. In the old host profile, there is no host. You won't see any host in the first host profile, and both the hosts are shown in the new imported profile. It means that a host can be a member of one host profile only at a time. So, guys, that's all about this session. Just to recall what all things we have done before we conclude. We have started with the discussion what is host profile. Then we have created and applied the host profile. The five-step procedure was there. Then we have seen how you can reset the ESXi root password using the host profile. And finally, you have seen how you can export and import the host profile. That's all, guys, in this session. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please subscribe it now and do share with your friends. Thanks for watching and see you in the next session.